Get the hell out of here. You should not be getting done that dirty on your home court by a team that's led by Donovan Mitchell if you're this proud of a franchise with the best coach in the game. And directly afterwards, you watch Jimmy Butler muscle through a hip pointer or whatever he has, whatever injury he's suffering through, muscle through for the Warriors, find possessions, find good shots, and made great plays when it came to passing the ball as well on possessions where Curry was getting face guarded from the front to the end. He proved why that pickup for the Warriors so essential, and they have a great chance right now. It's them or the Timberwolves. They have a great chance right now in the second round to really make some hay. But again, the straw that stirs the drink in the NBA is the superstar. You need a 1A. You need a alpha. You need a person that can be a fulcrum of your offense and is not a liability on defense. Tyler Hero isn't that. He's going to be eligible this offseason for a 3-year, $150 million deal. I'm curious what the Heat are going to do with that. We've also realized that Bam Adebayo, who is, again, these are guys that are essential to what the Heat have been over the past 5 or 6 years. It's not a criticism of them. They are miscast. They need a star, and they don't have one right now, which is why they should have missed the playoffs. Bam had 13 and 12. Elimination game, 13 points on 13 shots, going up against a big front line. I'm not even going to get mad about that. What I am going to get angry about is the fact that Heat fans have been talking themselves into circles for years. And I thought we had an escape route. I thought this year would be a good chance. And what is supposed to be a very packed, top-heavy NBA draft, the Heat almost had 2 premium picks. They could have either used those 2 picks to trade up. They could use those 2 picks this offseason to also move them in order to acquire a star. And today is a Top 5 Tuesday, CCAT, so I will be giving later on in the show my top 5 NBA offseason targets for the Miami Heat. I do believe there could be something we're able to extract from what was one of the more embarrassing runs the Heat have been a part of. But in a season defined by the departure and the ugly breakup of Jimmy Butler, defined by yet another abysmal playoff series by Tyler Hero, where he has now further driven down his trade value and also proven to the Heat that we'd be in a better situation if he was the 2 or the 3 option. And this is coming from a guy, CCAT, we loved the Tyler Hero interview on Heat Media Day. We love the new focus he has, and I also think he could be a promising second or third option on the team. Do I feel like, am I being too critical of what Hero gives the Heat based off what I saw last night?
Well, when you're the number 1 option outside of the paint on the Miami Heat, and you put that egg up
4
on
points.
a winner-go-home game,
1%.
I think you're open for all criticism.
Okay, just making sure I wasn't tripping. So now the question begs, where do you go from here if you're the Heat? The Cavs, they get to go to the second round. The Heat, well, they get to go home. And it looks like before the game even tipped off, they were ready to go home anyway. It was absolutely embarrassing. They should be embarrassed, but not only embarrassed, all of them should feel insecure in their spots right now. That's the point I'm about to make right now. As the Heat look to shift forward towards what this franchise is going to do next, this is a huge offseason for Miami. There has to be some pivotal changes. Nobody should feel safe. And when I say nobody, I also mean the very man who got in front of the podium last night following the loss, Bam Adebayo, 6 for 13, 13 points, 12 boards, absolute non-factor because the game didn't even matter anyways. Here's Bam talking about what the Heat might do next and about how all options are likely on the table. But I just want you all to know that are listening to Theoretically Speaking right now, as well as Bam Adebayo himself, he shouldn't even feel as secure in his spot.
What do you think needs to change?
What needs to change? I don't know. It's going to be a lot of changes this summer. Just from my point of view, understanding how, the guy with the silver hair works. So just be prepared for that. And, for me, man, it's understanding gotta figure out how to win a game in the playoffs. You understand how hard it is when you actually get into these trenches. So you take that and you figure it out.
Game 3 was a franchise record loss for the Heat when they lost by 37. Somehow, they extended that record to a 55-point loss in an elimination game that is going to go down as, again, one of the prime examples of this team quit. I remember a few years ago it was the Phoenix Suns that had a game where they clearly quit against the Mavericks. I believe that was the Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton Suns. By halftime, it was like a 50 ball. They did make it a little bit more respectable. But again, these kind of lopsided losses in the playoffs, this is the kind of stuff that defines like the bad franchises, the ones that have a lot of turmoil, the ones that have a lot of turnover, the ones that don't have the very word that Miami defines itself by, and that's culture. I didn't expect this, C-Cat. Even before I said that they should not make the playoffs, and all the Heat fans were like, no, we should make it. We should get in there and get feisty with the Cavs. I said the Heat shouldn't do it. They should get the 2 lottery picks. They should make this summer the turnaround year, because that would mean next year they would not have their pick, and that's a good thing because, well, they wouldn't need it because they would have a really good team and they would have a chance to compete for a title next year. I wanted them to go all in this offseason, which would mean punting on this year. Instead, they went all in on a mediocre roster this year, got absolutely demolished by the Cavaliers to a record-setting performance, and on top of that, there's nowhere to look, nowhere to go if you're thinking about any kind of optimism on the other side. What are we supposed to do here? And should Bam be available? That's my thing. Bam Adebayo is great. We're going to talk about what Dwayne Wade said about him, C-Cat, but I'm starting to lean on the side of he might be a guy that you should consider moving on from, not because he's not good enough, but because I want them to move out of mediocrity. The Heat right now are like the Steelers of the NBA. They ain't got no franchise quarterback. Bam has not proven himself to be that right now. He just hasn't.
Which fan bases in the NBA right now feel worse about the team they love than the Heat? I think there's one with the Dallas Mavericks. Everyone can hands down agree that might be the most sympathetic fan base in sports right now, let alone the NBA. Is there anyone else that right now feels worse because of expectations and what they're accustomed to versus what we saw take place these last 4 games?
Let's keep it to the respectable franchises. Let's keep it to the franchises that actually like the fan base like has an expectation. Right? Yeah. The Mavericks would count. That counts. They are a team that was in the Western Conference Finals last year. They are a team that has competed at the highest of levels. They won a championship in the past couple of decades. They matter in a strong way. I wonder if the Phoenix Suns fans don't feel a little bit more miserable than the Heat. Because at the very least, with the Suns, you not only have no clue what the hell Matt Ishbia is going to call for to happen next as a new owner, you also are about to get rid of your best player, potentially in Devin Booker, or your second best player, and you can't get rid of the one guy that's holding you back in Brad Beal. You're kind of in purgatory for sure.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up their owner because I believe it was maybe 2 weeks ago where he said, like, there are about 28 different franchises that would swap sides with us right now with all of our personnel, that we are in a win now, win championships now mode, which feels very disingenuous. And it's along the same line that you're talking with the Heat, believing that who was on the court last night wearing white thought they could compete for championships, and that feels like denial. But the Suns are in a different level of that.
They're in a totally different boat. They also don't necessarily have proof in the pudding of being able to attract guys in the offseason as free agents at the level that the Heat have been able to do in the past. We'll see. KD chose to go there. Brad Beal really had no choice in the matter because, I mean, honestly, it was like, hang out in D.C. or go to Phoenix and act like I'm going to want to contend. Like he ended up in Phoenix by proxy. I mean, or not by proxy, but by default. I don't know if there's too many teams outside of the Suns and the Heat that feel this level of despair, but the difference is the Heat do have a way out. They've got the number 20 pick in this draft. They'll own their pick in the next season's draft. So that means that next year, This is why I was rooting for them to tank out of the play-in this season. Next year, it's most advantageous if the Heat want to get their franchise quarterback. If they want to get their Cade Cunningham, their Anthony Edwards, for better or worse, Ja Morant, if they want to get the fulcrum of their team, the future face of their franchise in the draft, you can only do that in the top 5, top 10. I believe next year it would probably be best for the Heat to not go all in this offseason, but to roll this same team back out there, see what happens, and likely fall back into the lottery and have a shot at a capital G guy that can carry this franchise. Now, again, they're not going to do that because Pat can't stand another year of losing. Eric Spoelstra is too damn good of a coach, just like Mike Tomlin with the Steelers, to end up with a high enough pick to get that franchise quarterback. So most likely scenario is we're right back at this same place